2:30, right? 2:30.
2:30.
2:30. Okay. So can we start our seminar?
Yeah.
Yes, sir? Okay.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum. So first, I would like to thanks to Prof. Zhang who joined in our webinar. This is our routine seminar, Zhang. So every week actually, but sometimes we depend on the speaker or something condition. So, but luckily that today we have important speaker, I think, from Zhang. So thank you very much again for joining our seminar, and also, of course, thank you for all participants who already attend this webinar. So, firstly, I want to introduce our speakers, Prof. Zhang. So, actually, we already met in the 𝐏𝐤𝐬𝐿 event in Medan, in Toba. So, at the time, we also discussed, maybe, you also meet some our colleague, Cynthia, Sulung,
Yeah.
Rally, and so many Pak Hidayat also, I think. And first, I want to introduce Prof. Zhang is from a faculty member at the State K Laboratory of Lakes and Watershed Science for water security, Chinese Academy of Sciences. And his research is focused on the reconstruction, the long-term dynamic of freshwater ecosystem. I think this is very interesting. So because we also some of our colleagues also focus in the how to reconstruction like paleolimnology and so on. And particularly he focus on the lakes. So I think we hope that next step or next time maybe we can also look for how the potential for joint research in lakes in several places in Indonesia. And I know that in 2016, Prof. Zhang received the 100 Talents Award from Chinese Academy of Sciences, I think. And now he served as a deputy leader of the Anthropocene and Lake Ecology Working Group of the Chinese Geographical Society. Okay, so I think this is a short introduction for Prof. Zhang. So before we hear the presentation from Prof. Zhang, so maybe maybe you already know, but I just want to again to introduce short explanation about our research center, Prof. Zhang. So may
Oh,
I
yes, please. Thanks.
So I think because this is related to your research, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so now this is our research center for limnology and water resources, and it's in the BRIN, National Research Innovation Agency. So now we have more than 100, now 128 researchers, or 128 researchers. So I think many also here. But as you know that limnology and water resources, we have many aspects science to what is to investigate or to study of inland water. We have from geology or from chemical, physical, biology, and so on. So here, even also from biota or aquatic plant and so on. So I just want to also introduce that in here we have a 13 research group. So you can see that these our some research groups from dynamic of inland water resources, management of inland water biota, pollution dynamic, or hydrology and optimization of inland water disaster mitigation and adaptation, groundwater integration, water resources infrastructure, and also drinking water and sanitation, and utilization of water resources to weather modification. So we also have weather modification to support the inland water, and also management of agriculture, of course, because agriculture is close to the water, I think needed to water. So I mean that based on this research group. So I think that we have so many chance or so many potential for discussion next further with you or with your colleague to yeah to looking for some potential research joint research, I think. And yeah, based on your introduction about your CP, so I know you focus on the lake, right? So many major in lake. So as you know, Indonesia is also many. Yeah, I think China is also many because big countries, China, and it's also yeah big country. So I think but here we have what is tropical lake, that because it's we different with temperate region. So based on our identification, so we have more than I think 5,000 lake. But 5,000 lake is including of artificial like pond or reservoir or small lakes and big lake. Yeah, you know, Lake Toba in the province is the biggest lake. Lake Toba in Medan is the biggest lake. Yeah, the depth until maybe 500, yes, 500 meter. But we also lake in Sulawesi, you can find many deep lakes and ancient lake, ancient lake. So it is interesting thing. So and also type of lake is tectonic, volcanic, plate, oxbow, and so on. Yeah, this is distribution or some yeah some number of lakes from each island. You can find each lake and many various type of lakes. So and as you have to know that until now I think we have not yet finished all the to study to introduce this lake. So I think this is challenge. And also I think yeah I want someday we have some database or monitoring and all these inland water lake, and this is the big project I think so. But I think we can realize this our idea. So this is and then actually we already booked, but in Bahasa for 5 series books based on this from model from 5,000 lakes. Yeah, maybe next time I can share, but in this Bahasa, but we can also know this. Okay, thank you. So I just want to highlight that based on your study that paleoecological, right, and paleolimnology, and interesting, and our also some challenge to study the condition of the lakes in Indonesia or maybe in China also. So yeah, maybe we can discuss to look for the potential. And you said that you ever stay in Singapore, right? Singapore. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think so. Close to close to the
Yeah, very close.
so
Oh, thanks. I don't know. Indonesia also have many lakes, similar to China. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So we,
China. So,
so it's,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, thank
yeah.
you. Yeah,
Okay,
great.
this just only short introduction, and I will open if you have some idea or point discussion, and I will also invite our research group, chairman of research group, so if they also interest to yeah to discussion maybe I will facilitate the opportunity. Okay, thank you very much. This is only a short introduction for from our research, and now we go to the main agenda. So today we have some speaker from Professor Zhang, title Resilient Transition and Restoration of Freshwater Ecosystem in the Anthropocene Insight from Chinese Lake Studies. So now I think it's a good information and good insight about how what is China's lakes. So maybe better how about the Indian lakes. I think it's interesting. Okay. Once again, thank you very much. And now time is for you. Please,
Okay.
Profit.
Thanks. I'll share the slide. Thanks, Luki, for the introduction. Yeah. And I share the slide first. Can you see that?
Yes, yes. please. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. Thanks, Luki, for organizing this opportunity. Actually, when we met in February, we have been discussed about kind of have more kind of connection or collaboration, and now finally we got time to sit together to show some. Yeah. And today I'm going to talk some research. Actually, it's not from my. It's actually it's our team. We have been working on lakes in China over the past several years. And yeah, when you just show your slide, actually, I think China and Indonesia, we have many similarities, lots of lakes and also lots of people, high density of people, and we're facing the similar challenges of lake pollution. So I think we have lots of common interests. I mean, in terms of lake research, definitely we need to find some opportunity, maybe. Yeah. Okay, I just show some kind of research. Maybe you can anytime interrupt me. I mean, just show what we have done. Basically, I'm a paleolimnologist, but we not only work on lake sediment. So basically, we in our group we have two research direction, and one is kind of focus on the paleolimnology to understand the theoretical understanding of the lake, how the lake evolved from the past to the present, and they are kind of the dynamics, lots of theories like a regime shift or resilience using the lake sediment to understand this series. And that is one part. And the other part is actually is our main purpose is try to use the long-term data to inform the management of the lake. Like we want to define, because lots of lake they want to restore the lakes. We want to use the past information to set a restoration target or baseline. That's one questions we want to actually. The other is we try to use the long-term kind of theory based on the data from the lake sediment to kind of assess the security. We call it a security assessment of the water quality. So we basically want to kind of like apply the limnology, just use the past to really help not just the case study, but use this scientific discovery to inform the management or governance of the lake system. Okay, I'll show my slide. So first is a kind of a general introduction about the challenge of the Anthropocene lakes. We have billions of lakes, but this basically show the big lakes are bigger than the 100 square kilometers, like the Toba Lake in Indonesia. So some people they suggest around 960 million people. I mean, more than 12% of the world population living with a catchment 3 kilometers of lakes. That means lake is really important and crucial for the society. But in the Anthropocene, we know the lake had been, facing serious challenge like climate change or kind of pollution kind of issues. And at the international level, there's lots of big organization. Actually, they try to restore the fresh water and also include lakes from early 2000. I have make some kind of general review of the big policy, like from 2000, the EU Framework Directive, they try to restore the fresh water using the baseline kind of condition. Actually, it's some information from paleolimnology. And then move on to the 2015, the SDG, they have a kind of relevant component with freshwater and lakes. And especially over the last 2 or 3 years, in like 2023, the UNEP, they announced a kind of resolution of sustainable lake management. This is the first kind of they called a resolution specifically for lakes, and they argue the global lake has been understudied in terms of SDG or something, because lots of lake, the valuable lake, they have been ignored. And that's I think that's a very good kind of a part for us working on lakes, because there are lots of potential. We really put on lake research at a global level, how important it is. And also in the 2023, the midterm assessment or SDG, they suggest kind of lots of SDG related with the fresh water is falling short of expectation. They didn't achieve their kind of midterm target. So that means at a global level, the challenge of the lakes is still very serious. And even they almost 25 years, they try to fix this kind of issue, but seems still getting worse and worse. So it's still a very big challenge for lakes at a global level. So then back to the lakes in China, because Luki already showed the lakes in Indonesia. Actually, in China, we also have lots of lakes. We can see bigger than 1 square kilometers. There are around 2,700 lakes roughly, and also they have reservoirs bigger than 1 square kilometers. It's about more than 5,000. So together, there are some research suggests the lakes and the reservoir can provide drinking water more than 40% for the Chinese population. So it's really important for the water security in China for the lakes. We can see lots of lake actually. We have several regions. One part is in the Tibetan. It's very kind of high altitude lakes, and the other part is from this part, like east part of China. This is Shanghai. This is Nanjing, actually where I based. Yeah, and also some lake in the north east part of China. So basically, it's all very clustered, the distribution of lake. And the east part of this part, like the east part of China, lots of lake is a shallow lake, freshwater shallow lake. But like lakes at the Tibetan, lots of lake is very deep and also very big, and it's not they have saline lakes and also high salinity, and so have a different kind of characters. I'll show you some beautiful pictures of lakes. This is Fuxian Lake from the Yunnan, southwest part of China. It's very beautiful, and it's I think more than 120 meters deep. So it's a very deep freshwater lake. Like some lake, like in 𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐿 Lake is in the Tibetan. It's a very kind of spiritual, holy spiritual lake. It's very kind of pristine. And this is lake from Kanas Lake from Xinjiang area, and some lakes in the Qiandao Lake nearly Shanghai and Hangzhou, and it's a very important kind of drinking water kind of resource for the big cities in east part of China. And also this is the Taihu Lake, where we have been working a lot. I will talk some our research about this Taihu Lake later, but it's also very beautiful. But this, this kind of lakes during the last 20, 30 years in China, and facing lots of issues like the industrialization and the intensified agriculture. So lots of pollution issues, and also with kind of extreme climate event. So it's facing lots of challenges. And in China, actually, the government is taking this issue very seriously. And we see some kind of, who this guy is our President Xi Jinping. Actually, over the last 20 years, he has been visiting lots of places or lakes in China, actually, I mean, at a different kind of government level to ask the different, like the local government, provincial government, try to really take serious about the environment change, because lake kind of in China we call it a holistic and integrated governance of the system, but lake actually is in the center of the whole system, because it's a connection with mountains, waters, forest, farmland, and also with grassland. So lake is really important if they want to solve the whole kind of system problems. And now I'm going to shift on our case, like Taihu Lake. I showed you before the beautiful pictures. And Taihu Lake is around 2,300 square kilometers. It's the third largest freshwater in China. It's in the east part of China, and this is Shanghai. Yeah, here is Nanjing. I didn't show it. So it's located in a very densely populated areas. It's kind of we can see covered by lots of cities and a very high industrialized areas, and the lake has been experienced very serious uh, kind of issues. It's mainly the kind of algal blooming, like in 2007 there's a water crisis happening in the lakes, and they left the city of Suzhou here with I think 1 or 2 weeks without drinking water. So it's really seriously. And from then the government has kind of take a very serious effort, and they use lots of kind of policy intervention and policies. Like in terms of money, the statistics show that there are more than 100 billion RMB. It's around $20 billion. That's the data from before, I think from 2020, before the pandemic. That means the government only for this one lake has been spent a lot of money try to solve this kind of water eutrophication and algae blooming issues. But we can see the data actually, like the total forest fur and like the clarifer, actually, it did show a very obviously decline. That means even the government, uh, you know, take lots of effort like the new technology, innovation, and they cut lots of factors in the catchment. Still, the lake is still very kind of the water, especially for the eutrophication issues, still not being solved. So that shows the lake pollution is not that kind of a very simple question. You just reduce the driver, the lake can be recovered. It's not serious because the Taihu Lake is really an example show if one had been degraded, how serious it will be if you want to recover it. So this is the photo. We can see the lake still covered by this kind of algae blooming in the summer seasons. So it looks not that bad, but the smell is not good. So it's still a problem there. But the last 3 or 2 years, people show it's getting a little bit better, but it's still a problem, not being 100% solved. So then back to the scientific series, kind of gradually when at a different level of the working on the lakes, they realize that lake is a complex system. It's not a kind of very simple one. We just take several policies, we can restore the lake. Lake is kind of as a system, they have very kind of non-linear behaviors, like the system can have tipping point or threshold. Once the lake resilience has been declined, the lake can cross the threshold and have a very disaster for not only for the lakes but for the society on the catchment, like the fishery collapse and also lots of other kind of even with the healthy diseases. And so also the lakes can have a feedback mechanism. So within the lake and outside the lake, they have lots of kind of dynamic interaction. They have kind of positive feedback and negative feedback. That really makes the lake problem is really complex. It's not very simple. And the lake also changing very quickly, like the eutrophication we can see it very quickly, but climate change quickly, but also other process like the catchment erosion in the catchment. It's a slow process. So this kind of issue, slow process interact with a faster process that determines the current healthy status of the lakes. And also the lake has kind of natural connectivity and they have a multiple state, and also the lake kind of ecological side and also with the social side, they interact with each other. So basically that means if we want to understand the lake, we need to take a complex complex adaptive system kind of perspective to really understand their internal dynamics and connections if we want to make a real kind of policy-driven research to help the restoration government of the system. So understanding this kind of system, we know we need a fairly a long-term perspective, because when the system will change, it's not happening 1 day or 2 days or even 1 month, 2 months. Maybe it happened several years, even decades, or even 100 years. So that means we need a very long-term perspective if we really want to understand how the system, the current status of the system. That's why that's our research from our team. We want to understand the complex system behavior from the long-term perspective, because basically we know we lots of research based on monitor data. It's very short. But now we thought we can, apart from the monitor data, we link with the long-term paleo data from the sediment and also with some historical document, kind of to really understand the variability, the threshold of the whole lake, the system behavior, how they changed. And based on that, we can know the kind of pre-impact baseline condition. Like here, if we want to restore the lake to a very healthy state, we know at that time what lake looks like. And also, if we have this kind of long-term interaction, we combine the present with the past, we have a long-term kind of data set, understand their interaction. We can calibrate the modeling and kind of do some modeling projection to some scenario development and help the manager to show how the lake it would be. But if we don't have enough long-term data, sometimes it's not easy actually to understand this kind of long-term change. And with this kind of framework, and so normally we want to ask several key questions. For example, how the lake ecosystem had been evolved from the past to the present, and how lake and society in the catchment interact and reinforce with each other, like the fishery, agriculture, and lake ecology, water quality change, how they change and shift each other. Not only people degrade lakes, but when the lake change, they also impact the industrial, like the agriculture, even the tourism. So actually they interact with each other, not just the driver response. It's a kind of multiple feedback mechanisms within the system. And then if we have this kind of long-term information, how can we use this information to apply it to inform the sustainable lake restoration and management? So it's basically the question, scientific question behind our many case studies. And then it's a bit, I think lots of people already know the lake paleolimnology, because the lake sediment actually it's like a sink. They capture all the information, geochemical, ecological, not only in the lake, but in the catchment, like the pollutions, heavy metals, they all accumulate in the lake sediment. If we take a lake sediment course, we have many different peroxides in the lake, like the pollutions, the microplastic, and also different organic, like a macrophyte and phytoplankton, zooplankton, and we use a different kind of peroxides in the lake sediment, and then we can reconstruct through time, how the lake at a different time period, how the lake ecosystem, water quality, even the lake sediment, how they have been changed. And yeah, over the last I think 10 years, we have been working on different part of China, because we're based here, so we work a lot of lakes in east part of China, and also some lakes in the Tibetan plateau. And we try to use this kind of approach, try to understand how the lakes in different part of the China, how they evolved, and what they look like now, and why they degraded. And this is some photos of our field work. We work in the Tibetan lake in 2020, I think in 2023, and it's in the Chaohu Lake, yeah, different part of China, we're using different platform. We take long course and short course, try to analysis this kind of data. And I'll show you an example of Changdang Lake. This is Taihu Lake, we just showed before. And this is Changdang Lake, a small lake very close to Taihu. And it's a kind of, the lake size is less than 100 kilometers, but still big. And we take lake sediment cores, we do the kind of lab analysis, and we try to see how the system has been changed. Like we use the pollen. Actually, we use the aquatic pollen. We want to understand how the different microphyte in the lake they have been changed, like emergent microphyte and submerged microphyte and floating microphyte. So then we know how the different species, because microphyte is important for the shallow lakes, because they are kind of a keystone species to maintain the structure of the whole lake ecosystem. And also we have diatom analysis on the lake sediment to see how the kind of phytoplankton they have been evolved through time, and also the Cladoceraceae, it's a zooplankton, kind of eat the diatoms kind of species. How this kind of food web species they have been changed through time. And apart from the ecological community reconstruction, we also do some kind of multi-proxy, like the green size, like the heavy metal pollution, also the magnetic susceptibility of the TOC. So if we put them together, we can see the lake actually how they changed from the 1900 to the present. That means the 100 years trajectory of the lake ecology, environment, and other different aspects of the lake, kind of the health, like a health assessment. We can know how the lake had been changed. And this information actually is important for the managers if they want to restore the lakes. We can show them when the lake is relatively better, what kind of species they have, and what kind of like a pollution level, the magnetic level, even the carbon concentration, the carbon barrier rate. We can also give them show some data. So this is basic kind of information, but really important if we can apply this to help the managers when they make a policy for the lake restoration. But obviously this is not enough, because even we know the kind of the past reference condition, but that doesn't mean we can really go back to the very, like here, like a very clean crystal state, because there's another kind of, we know that in terms of change, there is a theory of change. You see, there are basically three kind of change. Like this is the drivers, the x-axis, this is y-axis. We can see when the driver increase, like this, if this is a lake, when the driver, like the pollution increase, the lake state has been kind of gradually declined to the white dot. That means it kind of you increase the pollution, new more kind of phosphor, and the lake will be degraded. But if you kind of, this is kind of linear change, it's irreversible. If you reduce the driver, like reduce the nutrient input, actually the lake can go to their kind of relatively good state. So that is lots of kind of underpin lots of policy and research, because they take a linear thinking. They thought, okay, the lake polluted, it's okay. We just, remove the drivers, reduce the pollution, reduce the population density, the lake can recover. Actually, in the real world, it's not this case like we show in Taihu Lake. So this is another kind of system. When we increase the driver, when the lake gradually decline at a certain level, they very quickly dropped to another state. So it's kind of abrupt shift. So this is kind of, it's not a linear change. But the good point is this kind of change is still reversible. If we reduce the driver, the system can still go back. So it's kind of reversible. The worst case scenario is this one. Also, they have a tipping point. When you increase the driver, the system suddenly go to another state. But if you even reduce the drivers, the system they can't go back. it's kind of you need to reduce the driver far more less than here. Maybe the lake can go back to their previous state. They kind of time lag or hysteresis. So when we start the lakes, we need to know which kind of types of different lake. Maybe they are at the different types or at the different state. Maybe some lake is here and some lake in the transition or some lake already degraded. So if we don't know this kind of long-term information, it's really very difficult for us to assess kind of the current healthy level of the lakes. So like the turbid state and the clean water lake, they say with algae blooming, we see when the lake has crossed this kind of tipping point, uh, the macrophyte dominant, suddenly they shift to the kind of algae dominant turbid lakes. It's normally happened, it's very abrupt and also unpredictable, and also it's irreversible, and like Taihu in a sense. So that means it's really serious. We need to understand uh, for the lakes, are some lakes approaching the tipping point? They are very far away from tipping point, or they already crossed the tipping point. So that the different kind of lake, we need to kind of have a different strategy. We kind of use one similar strategy for all lakes. They have a different kind of degradation levels. So we back to this figure, we can see clearly through the 1970s, lots of shift had been happened here, like the trace element, like heavy metal, they also change abruptly, and also for the macrophyte, and for the they also changing very seriously. So there's lots of kind of mathematical models or functions can be used to test this kind of regime shift, like a tipping point, threshold, early warning signals. And we can test this kind of change, abrupt change, like in around 1970s, the lake had been kind of shift before the 1970s, lake of relatively in this state. After that, the lake had been go to this kind of state. So this kind of approach can help us to understanding how the lake community, ecological community, have been abruptly shift. Similar with this is for the macrophyte, and also we do the algae community and also the zone plant community. Even we can do the different geochemical analysis, so we can see uh, the whole lake at a certain level they suddenly shift cross the tipping point, and they go to another kind of different relatively stable state. And once they locked in that state, will be very seriously for the managers to want to restore the lakes. And that is for one lake. And also, actually, we do kind of regional comparison with east part of China, like East Plain, lots of lakes here, and also the northwest part of China, the Yunnan Plateau. We try to identify their kind of abrupt changes of the different lake. Actually, lots of lake already crossed the kind of tipping point. That means why now even the government give lots of money, try to restore it, it still didn't work because it already go to another state. They locked in that kind of state. It's not a linear thing. You go back. This is kind of at the regional level. Actually, we also do the global level. It's a kind of review analysis. We reviewed all the kind of long-term paleo sediment studies. We're trying to see actually lots of lake had been shift around kind of 1960 or 1970s. Lots of lake already crossed at a global level. So that means it's really important. We want to not only in local level, regional level, but international level, we want to see how the global status of lake degradation. And based on this information, we can have a general kind of conceptual figures, like if this is a kind of lake degradation trajectory, we can know some linear change. Some lake, maybe they just go through a linear degradation. They can, if we want to restore them, we can just relatively easy to restore the lakes because they didn't, if they follow if they follow this trajectory. But if for some lakes, if they follow this trajectory, suddenly when they gradually decline, suddenly they shift to another state, kind of is we call the new normal, because the underlying there's kind of drivers and feedback and strengthen this kind of new system. So it's not easily to break the kind of feedback and to return the lake to their previous state. So that's basically like lots of lakes, they through the clean state to macrophyte to the algae blooming state into a new state, and after they locked in the new state, so it's not easy to restore them. So we basically suggest there we should have a different kind of restoration paths of different lakes. And some lake is reversible, some lake is not irreversible. If one take a restoration target, or we will make a restoration purpose or target, I mean, we need first classify which lake kind of they belong to. And actually, we have tried some work before. We propose a kind of we called Anthropocene baseline. So this is compare with previous we called historical baseline or reference baseline, because during the Anthropocene, because we know lots of lakes, we have a dam construction or urbanization, so the Anthropocene pressure is very high. Even we want to restore the lakes, I mean, we reduce the driver to this direction, but we can't remove the big cities. We can't remove the dams. That means we can only reduce to a certain level of the human pressures. The human pressure will be relatively high compared with the kind of historical reference conditions. So we argue that even for the lake with the linear change, we can't go back to their pristine condition. We still can I mean depend on their social surrounding development economic level to this is the historical baseline. Maybe when we restore, we can only reach this level. We can't go here. And we use the heavy metal pollution from lake sediment course through several around 10 lakes in East Part China. We try to argue this is a green color, that means a very healthy kind of pollution level. But due to the urbanization, lots of population in that area, we can't go back to this level. Maybe the red one, the yellow one is a more realistic target if we want to restore the lakes. Of course, we don't want to this very high red one, high concentration, but we can't reduce to the green level at a short-term period because it's very economically cost. So this is one type of the baseline condition based on paleo record. And also for the other lake, like the other type, like the from macro dominant to the algae dominant, the lake ecosystem had been collapsed and the macrophyte collapsed, disappeared, and dominated with algae. So in terms of ecosystem recover, we also can't go back to their previous ecosystem or aquatic community. We also try to find a way to define a kind of new structure of the lake. Maybe in the future, the lake ecosystem can't go back, but they have a new species and like a new function, but still function well to provide kind of ecosystem services. And still that is a more relatively, I mean, realistic way to restore the lakes. Okay, so the first two parts, one is the baseline condition, and also we need to think about the nonlinear changes. So the third part I want to talk is about we know in China people say the problem visible in the water, but their rules lies on the land. That means the lake or water pollution or degradation is mainly caused by the people, society on the catchment. If we don't put the people and the lake together as a integrated system, so that means some kind of root causes we can't solve, and that's come to another kind of scientific research. They say we need to study the lake as a kind of human nature interaction or social ecological system dynamics. But currently there are lots of studies about the social ecological system, but traditionally this kind of ecological system and the social system, they are studied separately. I mean, some people study the ecological part, some people study the social part. Then they put them together, they say it's a social ecological system, but actually they didn't bring the kind of interconnective of the system. So that means there's lack of integrated index kind of really represent the coupled social ecological system. And also, if we want to understand the system like the lakes, this is ecological state, this is social side. So the lake is not only on the ecological level, but also their social economical state. So the lake, when the lake change, actually they have a two-dimensional. We need a kind of a real indicator to represent the dynamics of social ecological system. And also we need a long-term perspective kind of to understand how the system has been involved, not only the ecological perspective, but also the social economic perspective. Then we can know really in terms from a kind of long-term perspective, how the lake has been changed from past to the present, and how they, I mean, potentially go to a future different directions. And so then we're back to the Taihu Lake again, because we just talked that Taihu had spent 100 billion by stormwater reversal, and Taihu is also one of the regions with the most intense interaction between the social development and the ecological environment in China. Actually, it's a kind of a symbol of the Chinese fast economic development and also fast environment degradation. And the last several years, the Taihu catchment is also a frontier for China want to explore the sustainable development pathways, and they try to make a kind of green transformation. So that kind of we want a high development, but we will also have a high kind of environmental kind of benefit. That means it's green transition, not the old way pollution, develop first, then pollution kind of followed by this kind of study. So that make Taihu Lake is really a very good example. We can examine how the Taihu Lake as a social ecological system, how they evolved from the past, maybe 100 years ago, and through time to the present. And based on that, we develop a evolutionary framework to understand how the system has changed. Basically, we use the lake sediment. I mean, we take sediment cores, we do lots of analysis, we have the environmental biogeochemistry process, ecological process, and other process. And also we use the historical document from like the GDP data, population density, or agriculture during the last several decades, even 100 years. So we put them together, and of course, we have a kind of, depending on your study, we can study the decadal or centennial or even millennial scales. We use a different approach, try to develop a coupled index we call the index of indicator for the social ecological system. Basically, it's a rate of change, like RCE. The green one is how fast of the ecosystem change of the lake, and it's divided by the brown one is kind of how fast the social economic development. That means this put them together can show us how the two systems have been relatively, how their dynamic have been changed. We argue that is kind of an indicator for the social ecological system. Actually, there are many other people, they also use the similar way to kind of as an indicator to depend on the system. So based on this proxy, we use a kind of evolutionary framework. We use the past, present, and future. If this like a sediment, I mean, each slice, if we take a slice, we have the ecological part, we have a social part. We understand how their variability change, whether they have a transition or connectivity, resilience. Then we can, as a whole, to examine from the past to the present to the future, how the system, the individual social and ecological system, how they interact through time. That will give us kind of more fundamental information about the lake degradation. Then this is our result. I will show very quickly, like the catchment soil erosion in the Taihu Lake. during over the last 100 years, we have a different kind of element to show the land erosion, kind of land use change caused erosion in the catchment, how they have been changed. And also like water pollution, we use a different element like heavy metals, like lead or different kind of element to show how the water pollution has been changed. And also like aquatic system, we use pigment and also DNA like other to see how the aquatic system have been changed. And also with the terrestrial, we use the sediment DNA in the lake catchment, different trees or terrestrial species, how they change. So as a whole system, because these are the different part of the lake system, and we mix them together, and also we combine the social economic kind of data like the agriculture output or industrial output. We can define during the different social economic level stage how the different kind of like like the pollution, soil erosion, or lake ecosystem and the lake kind of terrestrial ecosystem, how the whole system, how they change through time. That kind of give you a big picture about how the system has been involved. Actually, this is still kind of separate, yeah, with a social system, ecological system. Then we calculate this one is a key kind of our research. Like we can see this is a rate of change of the system. We can see the purple one is kind of the rate, how fast of the social system have been changed over the past 100 years. And this green one is how fast of the ecosystem has been changed over the past years. And this one is kind of integrate kind of index to see how the system has been changed. And basically, if we see the before the 2000, we can see the figure is increasing. That means when the social economic develop very fast, the environment degradation also very fast. That means they are highly coupled. You develop quickly, you with very quick environmental degradation. But the interesting part is from around 2000, we can see the social economic in the catchment still developing very quickly, but the rate of the environment degradation actually they declined. That give you a kind of a signal, say, okay, the system may be decoupled at a certain time because the economic development maybe not at the cost of the environment degradation. Because this kind of decoupling is very interesting because from the long-term perspective, for lots of lakes, we know we put lots of money. If they're in this kind of decoupling stage, even you put lots of money, because the environment degrading is highly coupled with the social development. So even if you put lots of effort, you can't see a really good return because the system are highly coupled. They're very high rate of degradation. But if some lake kind of in the relatively kind of decoupling stage, if you the cost effective is good because you don't need that kind of economic input, economic input, maybe the lake can be easily management. So we need to define this kind of how the lake in terms of social ecological perspective, they are at a different level that will help us to make a policy change will be really useful to kind of at a big picture to show the lake has been changed. And we published this funding last year on the PNS. And after that, we based on these findings, we read several kind of advisory report, like a policy brief. Actually, it had been adopted by like the Jiangsu professional level, like environmental agency, and also by the Chinese academic science. And they really think it's very useful information when you make a kind of a policy to think about the social ecological perspective for the lake restoration. And okay, this is last part, and we also try to kind of apart from the kind of information we provide, how can we use the long-term data to define kind of like for the managers, we show them okay how the lake, how safety is a lake now. So we borrowed the idea of the planetary boundary. I think lots of people know the word is kind of we live in a kind of safe operating spaces. Once we cross this kind of like this, we live in the green zone. It's a safe operating space. After we cross that, we enter a kind of very dangerous situation for the humankind, because it can have a kind of unexpected catastrophic changes. So, but this is on global level. In terms of lakes or river systems, freshwater system, can we also define this kind of safe operating spaces for managers? So based on that, we work before, actually over the last several years, we based on this kind of long-term data, like the reference condition or like dynamic series of change, like early warning signal or tipping point. We develop some kind of category based on our long-term data. We can define the dangerous situation. Kind of the yellow one is kind of a cautious zone. The green one means the lake is safe. So based on that, and we have different values, we develop a safe operating space for the lakes. For example, we like living in this kind of for the sustainable lake management, we should live in this kind of donut zone. The red ring means it's very dangerous boundary. We can't cross a boundary, and if we cross a boundary, there will be very kind of serious consequence. So this will be great for the managers, because we have a different part, like the water quality, the soil stability, or even the air quality and the biodiversity in the lake. For the managers, they can easily understand, okay, oh, this part is relatively okay, and this part is cautious, and that part's already crossed the boundary. So they can know, okay, if they want to make some kind of policy or decision, they can based on this kind of the panel to help them to prioritize their actions. And this is a kind of example of how we use long-term data to define a kind of a tool to show for the managers. And based on that, actually, we also develop a website. But now the website is done, but the idea is the same. For any certain lake, we have the long-term data, or paleolimnology data, or maybe even monitor data. We know the different species, like the biodiversity, this is like a pollution. And we can, after we have this long-term data, and we can kind of define this kind of safe operating spaces for each year, like 1852 or 2006, we can know at each year what the lake safe operating space is. So for anyone, we combine with the monitor data. So for any lake, we can have this kind of a dashboard to show the managers what the lake looked like 100 years ago, 50 years ago, and what is now, and even maybe we can combine with some modeling to show how the long-term change will be. This is really, because if you have the data, you can put your data in the system, and they can show kind of how serious a lake it is. This is a pilot, just a primary try we have done before, but I think it's definitely useful if you want to make some real kind of policy-driven research to show how the lake research can help the manager to restore the lakes. I think that's it. And you know the figures, the Toba Lake.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
Nice.
all. I
Thank
hope
you,
this,
Zhang.
I talk it clearly. I don't know.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's interesting presentation. So I thought I have a question, but I think Celia already
That's
raised
why
hand. So
I
please,
shared
so
yeah.
please, yeah, Celia,
Okay,
please.
thank you, Pak Luki. Thank you, Zhang. It's really
Thanks.
nice
Thank you.
presentation, and that's what we have to forward this type of research, I guess, to restore our lakes, right? So why I asked you the first question, because I have read your paper, right?
Oh, thanks.
Because you
Yeah.
sent me, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is actually different approach. I mean, but of course related. How do I'm probably from the what's it, lesson learned from your lakes, from Chinese lake, right? So you have this historical record findings and or your whatever your study, I mean, for this, and then you how do you align, because like for decision makers, even in Indonesia, it's just easy, you know, they already have this water quality standards, right? They already
Yeah.
set up, they already established the threshold value from a long time, you know, like a toxicological data and things like that. And also from, for example, like eutrophication, of course, from like what concentration of nitrogen or phosphorus or whatever, or chlorophyll, something like that, right? So we have this, for decision makers, usually they look at that. And then for the restoration, it depends on the, what's it called, it depends on the decision, whether you want to go to like first class or second class standard or whatever. And also, I guess in China too. But of course, how do we align with our historical findings to that water quality standard? Do we need to? We will find the new normal in terms of relation of the ecosystem, right? So we will have the new threshold. We will find the new threshold. Do we have to establish the new water quality standards, or we just have to adjust whatever within this quality standard that they're already developed? No, they already established. With in each country is different. So how do we approach that? How do we, you know? I guess you understand what I mean.
Yeah. I know it's very, yeah, it's very crucial. I think I totally agree with you because, but I think there's several points because even you know take example at the Taihu Lake, they have their own kind of standard for the, you see, the first class or second class, but for the Taihu case over the 20 years, they set a very high target. Actually, it can't be achieved. It can't be, you know, you can't get that kind of very clean, low, kind of low nutrient level. That's why now lots of even research or even policymakers, they start thinking about maybe it's not realistic. And I think that is the paleo information come. And we can give them some solutions, alternatives. We can show them this is based, because lots of their number actually is based on the expertise, you know, it's not based on the real scientific research. But our research is based on lake sediment. It's really the lake, from the lake. And we can show them not only the water quality, the more important, the ecological community, different species, what they have before, and that kind of gives them more, I think, more choice. But whether they will adopt them or not, it's not all, you know, we can't
It's
force
true,
them.
yeah.
But at least I
Yeah.
think that's the value of the long-term data. When they realize it's impossible, but we can give them more options. I think some people they gradually realize, okay, we need to take a very longer time perspective. There are lots of restoration or management is very short term viewed. You know, it's only 5 years, 3 years, but actually, if you take a long perspective, it's fluctuation. We need to know the big picture, long picture. Then we can give a really realistic, and that means we maybe save lots of money because some target is unrealistic. You know you can't achieve that, but the policymaker they want to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. I mean, from lesson learned from Taihu Lake, what do they do? I mean, what do they do? Like they really just spend a lot of money to go back to the, or it's just like within, I mean, between your study and the new
I mean,
standard,
Taihu
whatever it
Lake
is.
is from 2007, I think we talk from the algae blooming after that. They do a lot. I think they really take a very system perspective. Like they first they shut down lots of factories in the whole catchment. They say there's hundreds of even thousands of or 10,000 of factories have been removed from the catchment, and also they kind of do the kind of you know the catchment restoration like a nature-based solution things, and also in terms of the in lake they do lots of they try to clean the sediment, you know, to remove the sediment. Also they develop lots of new technology to capture the algae to take the algae outside of lake. And also like the floating boat in your background, they try to absorb the nutrient level. They take a lot of things, but they still not achieve their target. But at least they need, I mean, our data gradually they realize that our long-term data really useful for them to calibrate their research. But in terms of practice, I think they done almost everything, engineering and the social and everything, but the lake still not recover very quickly. But our research can help explain to them why it didn't recover. That's kind of a key thing, I think. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I will
Thanks.
let others because I know that people a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
I will
Thanks.
contact you
Thanks, Sensei.
personally
Yeah.
for more.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Any other questions, please? If you have some question, or you can write in the chat box if you have a question. Okay, I just want to know that based on your presentation, Zhang, I know you also many lakes in your country, similar in Indonesia, and big lakes also, of course. And I see that you have so many long-term data, that time series data and so on. I just want to know in your country, who is the any authority responsibility in one lake or some institution, or to manage, or to yeah, to responsibility for the lakes management, and how I mean that there's any monitoring data, or I mean monitoring your government set up some monitoring for all the lake in China. Is this you conducted it? Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of the governments, I think because the first is like institution, like where I'm from, the Chinese academic science, we have the Nanjing Geography and Limnology kind of institute. It's the only state-owned institute, only focus on lakes and waters. So
Mm,
our institute they mainly do the research. So
mm,
it's mainly scientists. So we don't have kind of the government's kind of power to do that. But for the specific lakes, actually like Taihu, lots of lakes, they have their own kind of how to say that, institutions, like a Taihu
ah,
institution. So they also do
okay.
research, but they belong to the professional level at each province. For example, the Taihu Lake in Jiangsu province, and also with Zhejiang. So they set up a kind of institution. It's mainly kind
Mm,
of they to government the lake, manage the lake. Lots of big lakes, we have this kind of the institution to do that. Yeah.
yeah. So for just specifically lake, yeah, not all lake, but you select the, I mean, strategic lake or some important lake, right?
Yeah. At national level, there's not only we have a big government as the central government. It's for the water issues, but not lakes.
Mm,
Lakes is kind of because lake is no it located is not like rivers across long distance. Lakes is only
mm,
located in the different county level or provincial level. So
yeah,
the local
yeah,
government
yes,
they set up institutes. They do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you, Keza.
Thanks.
So, any question, please, if you have some comment or some question. Really, you have some question, I think you some comment. I don't see like that.
Yeah, I can say something. Hello, Kazang. Nice to
Yeah,
see
Oh,
you
hi.
again.
yeah.
How are you? Nice to meet you again.
How are you? Yeah,
I'm good.
it was really a very good presentation, and I'm really impressed to all the multi-proxies of paleolimnology analysis that you have done. I'm starting my research topic on cladoceran, to be specific.
Yeah.
Cladoceran microfossils from the sediment, and really looking forward to future collaboration with you and your lab. And yeah, if you have a chance, you can come and visit us here in Indonesia. And
Yeah,
then,
I want to maybe,
yeah,
I want to,
just to give you a short comment. And I have no question at this time because, yeah, thank you.
yeah,
And
thanks.
nice to see you
Thanks.
again.
Yeah, nice to see you. we can find the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, any questions? So I go back about the monitoring data. So I'm jealous because you have so many time series data from I think 19,000 until now. So I think in our case it's very difficult. I think no, I can say that we don't have some same sense data in so long term data. So it is also maybe problem, yeah, to how get some insight or some characters of the lake. Of course, maybe we can also from paleolim paleontology, but another data I think is so important that I
Yeah.
show you your precision. What your comment about the time series data in like is important or something to have to yeah
I
to
think
collect or something. Yeah.
yeah, I think you mean the monitor data of the
Mhm.
it's I think now in China almost lots of not every lake but lots of key lakes they already set up kind of long-term, they call it a
Okay.
monitor, station. So they collect
Mhm.
data daily or even hourly. Every hour they collect lots of the wind, water quality, everything. They kind of want to make
Okay.
the
Okay.
big data kind
Mhm.
of database for the whole lake, the on-time monitoring. I think it's really important in the long-term perspective if you want to.
Yes. Yes.
But but it's also in China they only do it not many long. It's only
Mhm.
last several 10 years they graduate to do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But before that we also don't have many data. But it's based on the proxy. Like we do the paleo data
Yeah.
and we find
Very,
some
very.
historical document. Then
Mm.
it's kind of yeah. It's. I think the data is future is important.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I
Thanks.
saw I looked in the chat box. So from 𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐭, you want to say by yourself or I read? I
Yeah.
prefer to make, yeah, please. I prefer to make mathematics as amusement in this presentation which I found in images. So it's happened. Ah,
It's
okay.
not
This is
section.
some
It's
comment.
okay. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And from Reni, Dr. Reni. So Reni, Bu Reni, you want to say some there, Holy?
Is the biggest
Oh,
challenge
okay.
and what is on?
Yeah, you mentioned about the climate change impact on the lake. What is the biggest challenge and what is going program to address it about the climate change impact?
Yeah, I think I don't know I whether I understand, but the the climate change on lake is serious. But today my research is mainly focusing on the human activity because my research is today's talk is on the east part of China. It's very high population density there. The lake is really serious impacted by the human activity compared with the climate. But we also do research on the Tibetan, where there's not many, relatively less human disturbance. The climate is really very serious about the lakes in that part of China. And for eastern part of China, the climate I think is mainly the extreme, like the drought or the extreme heat event is increasing very frequently, like in Taihu and several lakes. During the dry season, I think 2 years ago, some lake totally dry up. There's no water. That means the lake become more unstable with the extreme climate event. And that is a very basic. I mean, the important thing about the climate change on lakes, I think, extreme climate event, how they impact because if that happens, it will cause lots of unwanted consequence for the society because the lake suddenly dry out. There's no water anymore. And also like the heat suddenly cause a very high temperature and then the algae blooming things. That is, I think climate more now is on the shallow lakes more serious, more high frequency in terms of the high frequent extreme climate event. But like on in China on the Tibetan plateaus, the climate change is mainly because of the increasing temperature. The temperature changing very quickly and cause the lots of the glaciers in the Tibetan, they melt. So lots of high kind of frequent flood environment. The flood had kind of into the lakes, caused lots of lake sedimentation, lots of soil erosion had been bring to the lakes because the intensified kind of flooding, because of the precipitation, and that kind of high flooding has damaged the lake internal system, like local zooplankton or macrophyte had been kind of destroyed because the lots of sediment had been brushed into the lakes, and the lake system had been, like the biodiversity had been destructed, maybe disappeared. Yeah, I don't know whether I answered the question, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. How about Reni? It's okay? On your answer.
Oh,
Okay,
there's another one.
yeah.
How to
And one
involve
question, yeah,
community in the
yeah.
catchment area of a certain lake to
Yes.
maintain the certain lake.
Yeah. How info?
It's interesting. Yeah. I think that this question is really important. And actually, we have. I didn't talk in my presentation. Actually, we tried before, and we in Chaohu Lake, in the other lake. What do we do? Actually, we do two things. One is we do the lake sediment analysis. We can know how the lake has been degraded, the biodiversity, the eutrophication, and also the pollution. Because we have the time series, we know when the lake has been degraded. And on the other side, we do some kind of social questionnaire analysis. We talk with the local people in the catchment. We ask them the same question. What do you think the lake had been, water quality has been degraded? What do you think the eutrophication of the lake had been degraded? What do you think the reason? So we compare with the result from our lake sediment core and with the local people's knowledge. So it's really interesting because we found that the people, when they realize the lake had been degraded, actually from our scientific data, it's already happened maybe 10 years ago. So people people's perception about degradation is slower than what really happened in the real world. That means it's create a gap because when people realize that it's already happened. So I think that kind of gives some indication if we involve with the local communities, we need to use this kind of information to make them think about in advance. So you didn't feel the problem, doesn't mean it not happened. Maybe it already happened, you don't know that. Yeah, that's a kind of one way we saw is really we need this, give them the long-term information, and when we engage with the local community to show them what really happened. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Agus?
Pak Luki.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, please. Okay.
Before you take action in a certain lake, you discuss first with local people, like that.
No.
Dr.
We
Kaisa?
do it at
No?
the same time, actually. When we go to the catchment, when we go to the lake, we take a sediment core, but we have an analysis, yeah. But at the same time, we go to the local community, we do the questionnaire analysis, we do the interview, we do hundreds of interviews with different people.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, question from Agung. Yeah, please. Agung now in Sydney, I think. Agung, yeah.
There's
Yeah,
another
please.
one.
Yeah, Agung.
Hi, Dr.
Yeah.
𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐤𝐭.
Oh, hey.
Hi. Nice to meet you today because last time when I want to go to the Toba, but I cannot going there because I have to go to Sydney at the time. So
Okay.
it's really nice to meet you because I read some papers of you.
Oh,
So
really? Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, when I read your papers about the human impacts that dominate global loss in the lake ecosystem, you said about the early warning signals and using machine learning, right? And then you find that actually the global loss of the lake in the world like closely related with the higher human population density and anthropogenic eutrophication, right? But because you said last time that these paleolimnologists like really have related with the climate change too. My question is between the climate change and the human population density, which one is drives more to the degradation of the lake resilience? That's my first question. And then my second questions, maybe it's like really it's the technical question. The second question is like you said that about the tipping points of the environmental sieve. So my question is how you determine the tipping point of the environmental sieve from the sediment that you get from the coring. So I really want to know about how you like determine, oh, this is the tipping point in this year like that. So if you get what I mean, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for your question. Yeah, the first one you mean kind of climate change and human activity which play a role, a relatively role for the lake degradation. Yes, and I think it depends on the situation. Actually, it's a really good question because we during our Taihu Lake, actually we also try to answer that question, and because we know climate is also important because it's at a global level, but also in some region like East part China, like the high population density, and they can make damage very quickly because they input lots of nutrient pollution into the lake in 10 years or even in 2 years. That is a huge impact compared with the climate. Because climate is gradually changing.
Yeah.
So, and that's a part. What I say is we explore the different kind of methodology. Actually, there's lots of methodology because we have the environmental driver, like climate driver, yeah, temperature representation. Also, we have the population driver, like a GDP driver. Actually, if we have the response like the lake kind of 𝐏𝐸𝐬𝐬 concentration, there's many different kind of approach we can use a methodology try to distinguish kind of relatively contribution like weight of different kind of drivers. And in terms of the Taihu Lake, our research said that maybe before around 100 years ago, the climate is really important. But after that, gradually the human have a more weight in terms of the driver to contribute. We can semi-quantify the relative driver of the climate and human activity. I think that is a one way we do that. And also lots of the not paleo but limnologist research on the current lake in China. Some people realize even in Taihu Lake, at the beginning climate play a key role. Yeah. After that, human kick in and play a more key important because the eutrophication, the nutrient phosphorus reaching a very high level. But after the nutrient reach a certain level, it kind of like a sag chart. It's even you put more nutrient, the lake didn't respond anymore, and then the climate kick in again because the rising temperature will causing more damage to the lake. So it depends on time period. Sometimes the climate overweight human, sometimes the human overweight climate. I think that is kind of involving situation in terms of the Taihu Lake. Yeah. Yeah. And the second is about you see you mean how to identify the tipping point.
Yes. Like you said, like about tipping points and different lake have different tipping points, right?
Yeah. And actually, that is a very kind of developed methodology. Lots of like the complex system studies, like the physics or the mathematics. They have lots of methods to tipping to identify. Like you have a time series data, you remove the trend of the data to keep the residue of the data. Then you calculate their variance or deviation. They give you some kind of lots of static result. And like they call early warning signal, like a variance or standard deviation or screwness. They use that kind of metrics to identify the tipping point. and also like a rate of change at a certain level, the system changing very fast. You compare with the long term, kind of like 100
Okay.
years, you have 8 years relatively change, but the other 10 years super quick. Then that point they say is kind of tipping point. Actually, there are lots of metrics can be used to help them, but each method has lots of disadvantage, and that's why we need a different kind of approach, try to convince this tipping point here. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry if someday if I can email you about because my research is about paleolimnology as well, so maybe
Oh yeah.
I need to
Yeah,
contact
please.
you sometimes. Yeah.
I'm-
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Agung. Now she is study in Australia as in for PhD in Sydney. So yeah, maybe she needs some discussion maybe
Oh, good,
for
good.
Limnology.
Still in Australia or working in Australia or now in Indonesia?
No, still
Yeah.
Sydney,
I'm
right?
still in Sydney. Yeah.
Sydney,
Oh, okay.
Australia.
Yeah.
I just started last month, I think.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck, Agung. Thank you very much. So any question from participant for this today presentation? Yeah, I think enough because also here time is also has already over. So thank you very much, Kezang, and I just want to also inform for you that information from my institution that I think this year we have what is anniversary 75 years relationship between China and Indonesia.
Okay.
Anniversary.
Yeah.
So yeah, so especially for in our group, I mean in organization research for earth and maritime. So my boss said that maybe I don't know, on the next June some researcher from China will come to our research BRIN. I don't
Yeah.
know. So and he hoped that he hoped me that we can also some discussion that some potential collaboration. So that's why maybe later I will I can also propose your name if it's possible to
Oh
for
yeah.
the
I would love
discussion.
to do that. I think we already
Maybe
talk a lot in the tour
yes,
bus. I think we
yes,
could
yes,
carry on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Please
Because
visit
it's
us.
What?
Please
yeah.
visit us, Kazam.
Yeah, I want to. Maybe. Yeah. I
I
don't know
have many
why.
questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I want
in
to the Jakarta. It's beautiful,
yeah,
but I've
yeah,
never been
yes.
there yet. Yeah.
So I hope that in next June, I think some team from China, maybe many researchers in order in the frame of anniversary
You mean
75.
this June?
Yeah, in next June. Yeah, maybe later I will inform you in detail, but and also I
Okay.
will also discuss with my deputy
Yeah.
how this agenda. So I hope yeah we can continue this discussion, and later we can also make some joint project. I think it's very good.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
I think yeah, it's time is over. Thank you very much again, Kezang. We can give applause for next presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And also thank you for participants who attend this presentation. And I hope maybe if some people, participants who want to discuss with Kezang, maybe Kezang you can also share email. I think yeah later
Oh yeah,
if
yeah.
some discussion. Yeah.
Just send
Ah,
me email or something. Definitely,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I already got from your your CV. I think yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Later I will.